Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we will continue with our framework creation. Yesterday we have created driver factory, driver manager, and all that. Everything was working fine. There is a little bit of problem, right? If you have at least tried this, it might have worked for you. Um, Someone have complained to me that when I try to use this is not working, and let's see what is the problem, right? So let's first go to the driver class and. And if you notice, we are basically creating the driver with the help of driver factory, and then we are setting to the driver manager. This guy will take care of making sure this guy will make sure that this is thread safe, right? So this is all good, but until there is a newcomer to your project and he doesn't know that you have called the driver.init driver here, and instead he's again calling in the homepage test. Okay, so he's again making the call here, driver.init driver. Okay, can we blame him? No, because he is new to the project and he suddenly do this, and then he suddenly started to come to your desk and started complaining, hey, this is not working. Because if you try to run this now, for each test it will open two Chrome browsers. Okay, so let's see what's happening. If you notice, it is also opening one more browser here. There is one browser that is left open. We are not sure what this is, right? So this is what is happening. So for one of the tests, it is launching two browsers. Okay, even though your tests are all getting passed, but it is launched one extra browser, which we don't want to do, right? And they can make these kind of mistakes, so we want to make sure that our framework is uh, foolproof, right? So it should not be uh, you know uh, it should have the capability to avoid these kind of mistakes. So what we can do, this is not really hard, we can do this simply. um, First thing, we can command him, don't use like this is not a good approach. Okay, but that's not our job. Our job is to code and do stuff, right? So let's say what I do, I go to the driver class and first I will check for. So so if you go here, let's go to this particular thing. Sorry, where is the driver manager? Okay, so this is a thread local, right? Every time when we try to set some values to this, we will check whether this is null. Okay, by default this values will be null. Okay, by default the value inside this thread local will be null. So we can first check whether this is null. If it is null only, then we will call the driver factory. Okay, so let's do the change. So what we are going to do, so we will first check. Here we are going to check if null. So again guys, it's a very simple statement. Okay, if let's say driver manager dot get driver equal to null. If it is null, then only you go and create a new browser. Okay, then only you go and create a new browser. Okay, if it is not null, don't do all these things. Okay, maybe i'll, I'll paste it here. Okay, so this is what we want to do, right? Oops. Now with simple if equal to null statement, we have resolved the issue. Let's try to run it again, and this time we'll make sure that drivers, even if by mistake if someone is putting here, that doesn't really matter. Okay, it will still work. Okay, now this time it has launched only two browsers because we have two tests, right? So this null check will help us to avoid these kind of mistakes. Okay, so let's remove this and let's go to the driver. And the same way, if due to some reasons your browser is already quit, okay, you quit it manually, or due to some browser failure or memory issues, your browser closed manually, then you don't want to quit it again. So what you can do, you can first check if driver manager, okay, dot get driver. Okay, if it is not equal to null, okay, if it is not equal to null, then only I want to do this. Okay, this is what I want to do. Okay, good. So now you doing this check is fine. Okay, but instead of you writing driver manager dot not equal to null, you instead of you writing this, there is one trick in IntelliJ. If you type if n, okay, then it will do this. Okay, then you can just write driver manager dot get right. Okay, you can click this. Okay, or if you want to do an if non null check, if non null, I think if n, so this is not equal to null. Okay, so using this shortcuts, you can basically create these for loops instead of you typing the whole thing manually. Okay, good. So so first I will check if the browser is not quit, then I will quit the browser. Okay, and then I will basically set up this back to null. Okay, driver manager dot get driver, uh, dot set driver. We will set this back to null so that the next test case will run. Okay, if you don't do this, the next test case will not start the browser. Okay, so we need to set the browser back to null. Okay, good. So we have done all these things, it's all fine. But imagine, this is the main problem that we have. We are writing a lot of code here. Okay, we are trying to log into the website and we are validating this. Imagine this logging in is used in other test cases as well. Whatever the test case that I'm going to do, I need to do login. But if I write it here, I cannot reuse it. Okay, so we need to put this in some place where we can reuse, like we have created driver class so that we can reuse the browser opening and closing and all that, right? The same way where we can keep all these things. Okay, in Selenium we call them as page object model. Okay, there is something called as page object model where it defines to keep all your locators and methods in one class, in one class. Okay, so let me open the Chrome. So this is the website, right? Let's go here. Let's first log out. Here, if you notice, this is a login page, right? So whatever the locators that you are finding in the this login page can be put it into one class, and whatever the methods belongs to this particular page can be put it in the same class. Okay, let's do it so that we can easily understand it. So let's go here and let's create. Again, I cannot create this inside the com.tnb.test because only the test should be here. Then there is only one option, I have to create it here. I need to create a class. uh, Before that, I want to create a package called pages, and the class name is login page. That's it. Okay, and if you notice, I have created a class called login page, and here I should keep all my locators. Okay, so what are the locators that I have? So I have these locators, right? So by.id is one of the locators, right? So let's cut it and let's keep it here, login page. Okay, so by, and so just import this by. This is text box, right? So we will use a convention text box username. Okay, equal to this. And then second one is by text box password, right? And this would be also text by dot id text password. Okay, and then last one we have this login button, right? So that is a button, so we can short form give btn login. Okay, this is naming convention. Okay, so that it's more easy for you to understand. Okay, by dot id, I don't know what is the id for this, so let's copy this from here and put it here. Okay, so now we have created locators here. Okay, that's fine. So what you can do, instead of here, you can just tell okay, this is all fine. So let's go here, and now we have locators created. We want to create the methods. Let's say public void set username. So see, it is giving me names. Okay, maybe I'll give set username. Okay, I will create a method called a set username. Okay, and this takes in, if somebody is passing username to this method, what it will do, it will just tell uh, driver manager dot get driver. Then we need to find the element. The by is this, right? Text box username dot send keys. What I am going to do, the send keys username. Okay, guys, we have done the same thing. Okay, here we have written driver manager dot get driver dot find element dot send keys, right? The same thing we are doing. So driver manager dot get driver dot find element, instead of hard coding the value here, I am putting it here. That's it. That's the only difference. And then dot send keys, and somebody is going to pass me the username, I will pass it here. Okay, the same way we will create for other ones. So public void set password, right? And if somebody is going to pass me password, I'm going to do same thing. Okay, driver manager dot get driver dot find elements, and then text box password, same keys of password. Okay, good. At the last, what do they want to do? We want to click on the login button, public void set login or click login, whatever the name you feel comfortable. We don't need to pass anything for this, so we can just tell driver manager dot get driver dot find elements and button login dot click. Right. So now we have created these methods. Okay. Now let's remove all these things. Okay, remove all these things, and we can simply tell uh, so first we have login page. So this login page is having non-static methods. Okay, if you have non-static methods, you need to create an object for this class so that you can access this or whatever, right? So let's go here and create an object for this particular class. Okay, good. Now, once you create an object for this, you can basically access all the methods. Now, I can tell set username, and then I can pass the username. Okay, and then I can tell login page dot set password, and then I can pass the password. At the end, I can tell login page dot set login. Okay, now whatever we have done here, everything here. Instead of this, we moved the code to the page methods, and then we are just calling those methods from here. Okay, now we have created this, and let's try to check whether this is working. So for that, I will just comment this code. Okay, because this is not really important for us now. We have done with our parallel execution, so we don't need them anymore. Okay, so I have commented this, so only this particular test will run. You can also change the thread count to 2. Let's try to run it and check whether this is working. Yeah, this is also working absolutely fine, right? Let's go to the test again. And if you notice, we are setting the username, password, and all, but we are hard coding these values. Okay, but as I already mentioned, we should not hard code these values. Maybe we should read it from Excel or JSON file or CSV files, or maybe from the data provider. Okay, so what we can also do, we can pass these values from data provider for now. Okay, so I'm just telling data provider equal to, and let's create a method called data. Okay, and I can basically create a method. So this is a data provider here, and what I can do for the first set of values, I can pass admin 123. Okay, so this will have string username, string password. Okay, then instead of hard coding, whatever the values that is supplied by the data provider, I can feed it here. Okay, Now everything looks fine. Even if you run, this will work. So any doubts in this so far? It's very simple. Previously we have hard coded everything here, and now we have moved the same code to another page, to another class, so that we can reuse it across different tests. Suppose for example in the payment test also, I want to do the login. Instead of I writing all the code here, like find by id username, I need to remember all these things. Now I don't need to remember all these things. Okay, I can just remove all this, and let's go to the home page test. I'll copy it and I'll paste it. Okay, I'm not really worried about what is the username, what is the password, what is the ID of those methods and all. No, I can directly tell, hey, create an instance for login page, and then just enter username, enter password, and then click on login button. Okay, so I'm not really worrying about what is the locators, what are those and all now, right? So that's a very good advantage. Again, in future, if there is a change, okay, tomorrow, uh, if there is a change in this, if they trying to change here, okay, let's say they have changed this from uh, let's say text username to just username, then what you can do is simply, you don't have to change it in multiple places. Okay, you can come and change it only here. Okay, okay, they have changed this, okay, I will change it here. Okay, you also know if there is some changes to login page elements, you come and directly change it here. Okay, you don't have to go, if there are 1,000 tests, you cannot go to 1,000 tests and then change them individually. So that's the advantage of maintaining all your uh, locators and the methods in the same class. Okay, whatever happens in the login page, you come to the login page. If it is locators, change it here. If it is methods, change it here. Okay, good. Any doubts?
So, Mothan, if we
Mm-hmm.
let's say right now we have, let's say, only three elements on this page, right?
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
let's say if tomorrow some five elements gets added, I
Mm-hmm.
mean more five elements.
Yeah.
So then it's mandatory, like we need to create the methods for those elements, and then we
Yes,
can
yes, yes,
use.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so for each of the element, you can for each of these you can create a method, so that it will be easier for you to work with it. For example,
Yes.
now you make call this 3 times. Okay, now you are calling this 3 times, you are calling this one time, calling this password one time, login one time. But there are ways to optimize this code. Let's see how we can optimize this. So first thing, if you notice, I have not given any access modifier here. So this particular thing is only used within this class. So it is completely reasonable for me to give the access modifier as private. Okay, nobody outside this is going to use this particular locator. Okay, so only this class will use this locator. So it makes complete sense for me to keep this as private. Okay, and if you also notice, nobody is going to change these values. These, once these values are set, this is going to remain constant. Okay, then it also makes sense for me to change them to final, right? Okay, these are all final. Okay, these are not going to be changed anywhere, right? So these values going to remain constant. We are just going to use these values. We are not going to change these values again. All right, so it completely makes sense to keep them as final. Okay, and also if you notice, these values are going to remain constant for all the threads. Okay, even if thread 1 comes, this value will be the same. If thread 2 comes, this value will be the same. Then I can keep it as a static as well. Okay, so it depends. So first we thought nobody outside is going to use this, so we keep it as private. That makes complete sense. Then we thought we are not going to change the values, so we kept them as final. Okay, if you keep a class as final, you cannot extend it. If you keep a method as final, you cannot override it. If you keep a variable as a final, you cannot change it value after once you set, right? So that's what we have done here. And also, let's say if you are running 100 threads in parallel. Okay, you are running 100 threads in parallel. So for each time it will create so if 100 threads are running in parallel, this variable will be present in the heap memory 100 times. Okay, it will be in the memory 100 times. Okay, because for each thread you are creating an object here. Okay, for each thread it will create an object. For each object it will have its own copy of these variables, correct? So if you're running 100 threads, this value will be 100 times. Okay. If it is 100 times, if there are 1000 variables here, okay, imagine 100 into 1000, you will have a lot of variables. Even though Java is capable of handling them, these kind of memory management, you can simply do with the help of static keyword. Okay. If you keep something as a static keyword, it will be common for all the threads. Even if you run 100 threads in parallel, okay, for all the 100 threads, this is the value. The value is not going to change. Then why you want to keep it as non-static? So let's keep it as static. Okay, so that's good, right? So now even 100 threads are running at the same time, they will have only one copy of text box username. Okay, text box username will be only one. Okay, so the memory management is now efficient. Again, not a lot of people use static here because they don't understand. Okay, but when you write, you need to know why we are writing static here. Okay, if somebody is asking you, you should tell this is the reason why I am putting static here. Okay, good. Our code should be very different from others. Okay, we need to think about our code and why we are doing that. Good. Now we have sorted down all these things, but there is a rule in Java that if you have a private static final field, then the naming convention should be something like this. Okay, so I have to rename this, and if just I pressed Shift and F6, okay, and it's popping at me with a lot of options, and I will just rename this. Okay, so now I have renamed this like this, and maybe I'll also just a minute. I'll increase the time percentage. So let me increase this to 25. Okay, now if I press any shortcuts, you guys should see the top. Okay, maybe it's fast, maybe text box password. Okay, and then for this one again shift plus F6, again button login. So this is a convention to be followed. If you are using private static final, then you all needs to be in uppercase separated by underscores. So this is a convention followed across industry, so we will also follow that. Okay, not many people follow it, but we should follow good convention, good coding practices. Okay, if somebody looks into your code, they should understand, okay, this guy knows stuff. Okay, so that's really important. Good, now we have done this, but still we are making three calls. Okay, we are making all these three calls. Okay, what I can do, okay, I will create one more method, okay, called as public void just login to application. So I'll have one method called as login to application, which takes in string username, string password, and here I will just call these methods set username, and the username is username. Okay, and then I have set password, and then the password is whatever we are passing it, and then set login. Now instead of calling these three methods, I have a wrapper method that internally calls these three methods. So from my page layer, I can just call login to application. Let's go, and instead of calling all these things, I'll just tell login page dot log into application, and whatever the username I have, whatever the password I have, I will just apply to it. Even though now what happens, it will call this particular login to application, and this login to application will call this, and everything will work fine, right? But even though there are people who don't listen to your command, they will still go ahead and use, again they will use set password, set username and all. But why do you want to expose these methods? These are all not really important for now, right? So what I can do, I'll just change them to private so that it won't be visible for others in the classes. Okay, so if you notice, we have written some set username here, which is now not visible because we changed them to private. So if you want to access, use login page, login to application, supply some username and supply some password. Okay. Now let's go to the login page again. I will also change this to private. Okay. Now here I have just two lines of code. One, I'm creating an object for login page. Then I'm creating, a wrapper method called login to application, which will do the login to the application, right? We don't have to tell enter username, enter password, enter, all these things are really not important for me. Okay, because if even if you write a manual test case, you will not tell each of these things. Okay, open browser, click on this button. You won't tell. Hey, just log into the button, log into the application, just create the user. Some, that's what we do, right? We give high level details. That's what we are doing here. Okay, good. So now our code looks much neat. Any doubts so far? In the meantime, I'll just try to run the test and check whether this everything is working fine.
So Amuthan, if I wanna see like what are the from where this username and password is coming, right?
Hmm.
So just by clicking, I will just click on that login to application, and then it will redirect me to that wrapper method.
Yeah,
I mean, this way we can this way we can check, right? Like
yeah,
which this value is coming from
yeah.
where, right?
See, if you notice, if you press Control and click, or you can right click and then there will be declaration here, but find usages maybe. Okay, so maybe now I'm not really good at these things. Maybe I'll press the shortcuts here, Control and mouse click. Okay, and then here
Mhm.
it will navigate you to the method.
Okay, okay,
Okay,
fine.
and then here you can see set username, set password, set login. Okay, good. And there is something called as method chaining, which I haven't explained to you guys. Okay, now let's say, before explaining that, let's also complete this test case. Okay, and then after login, what we want to do, we want to go to the home page, and then we want to validate whether the title is properly displayed or not. Okay, so now this title is coming from your home page, it's not coming from your login page, right? So let's go here and orange hrm, and let me log in. So this title is basically coming from this particular page, right? So we need to create a new page, a new class for this page, right? So let's go here, create a new class called as home page. Let's name it as home page so that it's more understandable for everyone. And yeah, so now we have created a home page. Now we need to create objects for all these things, right? So if you want to click on this marketplace, you need to create a locator for marketplace. If you want to click on admin, pim, leave, time, everything, you need to create an object for all these things, right? But for now we just want only the title. So for getting the title, I'll just simply tell, I'll create a method public uh, string get title, get, maybe get home page title, whatever. And then okay, return driver manager dot get driver dot get title, right? So, so once you come to this particular page, you get the title for me, correct? Good. Again guys, you can write it in different steps. Okay, let me write it in two different steps also. So you can do this as well. Okay, you can do this as well. Okay, you can get the title, store it in some temporary variable, and then you can return the title, or you can basically remove this whole inline variable, and then okay, it comes like this, right? Good. Now let's go to the home page test and see. Okay, we have created a login page, that's all fine. But now we want to access this particular method, get title. Okay, we want to get the title. So this is in home page, so we need to create an object for home page, right? Home page equal to new home page. Okay, and I want to access home page dot get home page title. So this is my actual title, right? So home page, this is my actual title. Okay, so if when I want to do the assertion, I can basically do actual title, and this is my expected title. Maybe I'll also pass the expected title from the mhm, data provider itself. So I can just tell orange hrm so that it's easy for us to validate. Okay, string expected title, and here instead of hard coding this value, I'm just feeding it from data provider. Yes, if you notice our code, we are not hard coded any values. Okay, if I want to change the test data, okay, I can go and change it in the data provider. Okay, if I want to change the locators, I know where I need to go. If I have to change some locators, I come and change it here, right? So I have not hard coded any values. If you remember the old code that we wrote, we have hard coded all these values. Now I have given the data provider from here, but this values you can also read it from Excel sheet, you can also read it from CSV or JSON files. So these values are not hard coded, okay, it's are easily changeable. Okay, good. So now let's try to run the test and check whether this is working. Again guys, very important, develop a little, test a little. Okay, don't develop whole thing and then try to make it working. That won't suit out. Okay, again my test is still running. So any doubts? If you say, if you ask any doubts, I can understand whether we can follow up or not. Okay, if you don't ask doubt, I assume that you can understand all these things. Okay,
Then this assertion actually, where we need to giving test or page.
assertions. Okay, see, let's say you have a test case. Okay, you have to keep the assertion in the test case itself. Okay, I can write the same line of code in the home page. Okay, I can write this here, but that might, if someone is coming to this particular test and they are trying to read it, okay, they have to know, okay, you are doing some validation in this page, in this test, and that to be mentioned here. Okay, if you keep it in page layer, they cannot go and verify all that. Okay, it's very difficult for someone to understand where you have written the assertion. Okay, so always keep it as a rule and write assertions only inside the test classes. So it should be inside this folder, inside the test classes. Okay, and most importantly, have one or maximum two assertions for a test case. Okay, don't try to validate everything. Okay, you cannot validate everything in case of automation. Okay, maybe if you are testing it manually, you can test. Okay, I can admin is there, pim is there, leave is there. Okay, you can test them manually. But in case of automation, don't try to validate all these things. Maybe if you want to validate all these things, create a separate test case. Okay, I will create a separate test case to check whether the homepage menu, top menu bars are displayed. Okay, and then you write an XPath to get all these values from from it, and then you can compare it with the expected list of menu bars. Okay, that's a different test case. Okay, whatever you are telling on the top, if you are telling I'm going to check the title of this RNGHRM website page, then just do that particular validation. A test should fail because of only one reason. Okay, it should not fail because of multiple reasons. Okay, yeah, so always write your test assertions inside the test case, not inside the page methods. Okay, don't do that ever. That's why I have get the page title. Okay, I could have asserted here. Okay, I would have asserted something like this. Okay, assert dot assert equals. Okay, I could have written like this. Okay, and then I could have asserted this with orange HRM. Okay, I could have done this, but I'm not doing that because this is not really good approach. Okay, don't do this. So whenever you want something, if you want to assert your title, get the title from the home page. Okay, get the title from the home page, do your test method, and then assert it. Any other doubts?
Amundan, nowadays all the companies are using this page object model only.
Yeah, most of the companies. Okay, there is not really a good alternative to page object model.
Page factory is not recommended.
Page factory, don't use page factory. That's what it is having a lot of problems. Okay, so always use by. Okay, if you use by, it is well and good. Okay, it solves a lot of your problem. Okay, if you use page factory, there are a lot of problems. I have made a video on YouTube why I don't recommend page factory. Okay, so you can watch that. I will leave the link in the WhatsApp group. Okay, so that you can understand in detail why we should not use page factory. Okay.
Actually, after successful login, we are able to see few menus are there, payments, etc., etc. So those all are common. admin, PAM leave,
Yeah.
time. These
Okay.
all are common.
Okay.
Likewise, even left hand side also in my application, some links are there. If
Okay.
you navigate to any page, those left links as well as main menu bars also I can able to see.
Okay.
So for that, how we can implement the classes,
Very
page
good.
object classes?
Very good. So this is very good question. That's when the composition comes into picture. So this is what the problem is. Okay, not many people understand how to do this. This is a problem. Whatever question you ask, it's a problem for many automation engineers. They don't use it properly. Okay, so what happens? Let's say you have a website like Amazon. Okay, if you notice, let's say it has lot of menus, right? So you have something here which is very very common. Okay, it will be always displayed here, right? And then sometimes, in the top also you have all these menu bars that you get to display, and then you have all these top menu bars as well. So how will you manage this? There are a lot of elements. If I try to wrap all these elements into one page, then your page itself will have like 1,000 locators and 1,000 methods. Very difficult to manage, right? Really, that's a question, right? Was what you have asked.
Yes.
Yes. So even in this case, if you notice, if I try to create three, six, and almost 10 elements here, there is two more here. There is two more here, and then there is again 5 to 10 here. So there are a lot of elements, right? If I try to create everything here, it will be very difficult. Okay. So what we can do instead, so everything has to be parts of homepage, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a separate class for this component. Okay, let's say top menu bar alone, I will create it as a separate class. Okay, and I'll also create this let's say this dashboard thing. Maybe this is part of the homepage itself, so we don't have to create, but in this case I will create this top menu as a separate class. Okay, let's do it. So I have a home page, but I'm not creating the admin, PIM, leave, everything here. Okay, everything in the home page. Okay, I'm not here creating it here. I'll create something called as a page component. Okay, I'll have something called as page component, and here I'm going to create a top menu, top menu, uh, top menu, something like this. Okay, top menu component, maybe that's more readable. So Shift and F6, top. Okay, so I have created something called a stop menu component here, and I'm going to add all these things here. Okay, for example, I will just add by let's say link admin, right? This is link admin, and I'll just say by dot. Let's try to inspect this. So this is having IDS menu admin, something like this. Okay, I'll copy this and ID. Okay, this. Right. So I have created this. The same way you can create all for all of them, right? Good. Once you do that, if I want to click on admin, so I'll create public void click admin, and okay, and then I'll just tell driver manager. Okay, driver manager dot get driver dot find element and link admin dot click. Right. So if you want to click it, I can do this. Right. So this is fine. Now my home page is also containing this. Right. Then what I can do, this home page, just imagine this home page has top menu. Okay, okay, so this is true, right? We know that inheritance follows ISA principle. Okay, so let's say we have home page test ISA test, right? This is a principle, is a principle needs to be satisfied. If you want to do inheritance, if you want to do inheritance, this has to be satisfied. The same way, home page has top menu, which means this is called as composition. Okay, this is called as composition principle. Now what I'm going to do, when you have this hash or composition principle applied, so now this home page is having top menu. So what I can do, I will just tell private top menu component, top menu component. Okay, that's it. Now I'll have a constructor here, public homepage, and this constructor will tell this top menu component, right, equal to new top menu component. Okay, now we have created an object for this, because if you don't create an object for this, we cannot access these things. Okay, because these are all non-static. Okay, and this is public, so I have to create an object for this top menu component class in order to access this. Okay, now I want to click on admin. Okay, then I can go here to the home page, and I can write method here. Okay, let's say click on admin. Okay, I have a click on admin, which basically I need to click on admin, but I'm not going to I'm just going to reuse this top menu component. Okay, top menu component dot click admin, that's it. Okay, the method is here, but the real method which is doing the task is inside top menu component. Okay, so that's what we call it as composition. So composition basically means a home page has top menu. Okay, so instead of this home page, if let's say I go to this performance page, let's go to some candidate something. Okay, if I try to create a candidate page, this candidate page is also having this thing. Okay, so whatever you want to use, this candidate page also has top menu. So when you are trying to create uh, candidate page, at the time also make sure that you are writing like this. You have private top menu component. Suppose let's say you have something in the footer. Okay, in this application you have something like this in the footer, you want to also include this. Then what you can do, you can create one more component called as footer menu component. Okay, and okay, this footer menu component will basically have whatever the locators we have. So let's say you want to validate this title or whatever. Okay, so this is basically footer, right? So with the ID of footer. Okay, so let's copy this, and by let's say this is a text, right? So we can just tell label of footer message whatever by dot id. Okay, and let's keep it as private, and we'll also create a method for this. So the method is public void get footer label, and then I can simply tell driver manager dot get driver dot find element dot label footer message dot get text, right? We want to get the text out of it, and then we want to return it, and this will make this method to return whoever is calling this method, it will return the text from that. Okay, so good. Now we want to use this here as well. So this home page also has a footer menu component. Okay, called, and footer menu component equal to new footer menu component. So we use constructor. Why we use constructor? We use constructor to initialize the variables, right? The class variables. That's what we are doing here. And if somebody wants the footer text, public string get footer text, and here I can just simply say footer menu component dot get footer label. That's it, right? And I will just return it. Good. So this is how you manage your page layers. Okay, even if you have lot of menu bars, okay, lot of menus, you if you use composition, you can manage them. Okay, if you notice, my home page is still clean. Okay, if I want to add something, if there is a new menu that is getting added, I will just add it in the top menu component. If there is something getting added in the footer, I will add it into the footer. So you have to think how you want to approach this. Let's take an example from Amazon. Okay, now you can create a top menu component for all these things. Okay, maybe this is like maybe the promotions or a promotion banner page or promotion banner component. You can create something like this. Okay, and For this, explore more items component. Okay, and then for this, more everyday essentials component, something like this. You can create these into separate components and then compose them into a page so that it's more readable and understandable. For this, you can create footer menu component. Okay, or you can just create this as a footer menu component and this as some another component, so that you can able to manage them in a better way. Different people use different approaches, whether you can create all these things in one page or you can create them into two different pages. Okay, it's up to you. Or some people will create this as one page, this as one page, this as one page, and this as one page. It's up to you. You have to decide what suits you better. Okay, the more granularity you give, the more advantage you get. Okay, I hope you can understand this.
Yeah.
If not, please practice, then only you can understand.
Okay, and one more thing, likewise, only left links also there.
Yeah,
So
left
the
links, then
for
left
that
link
also,
component.
I have to create one more class.
Yes, exactly. Okay, you create, if there is a left menu component, you can create a left menu component and keep all those things there. Okay, all the stuff related to the left menus. Okay,
Okay.
so that it's manageable now, right? In the home page, you will just tell this homepage has a top menu component, has a footer menu component, have a left menu component, have a right menu component. So it becomes more easy for you to manage. Okay, if there is a problem in the top menu, I'll go to that particular component and then use it. And also one more advantage is you don't have to write the same lines of code everywhere. Okay, what some people will do, they will create a base page and they will put all these things there. Okay, they will create all these things there, but that's not a really good approach, right? This is really good approach. Okay, you tend to provide granularity based upon your requirement, and then you keep them as a separate component and then you use it in your pages. So these are all called pages, these are all called page components. Okay, these are all menu components, right? However you want to name it. Good. So any other doubts? Again guys, nobody uses this. Okay, you guys are a beginners, so if you cannot understand this, you create everything in the whole page, that's okay, because 95% of people will do that. Okay, I have seen a lot of code, they create messy code because they don't know what is composition at all. But as a beginners, you are learning all these things really good. Okay, I hope you apply them, you practice them, and ask me if you have any doubts. Okay,
Actually, test cases means this page component.
where is test cases?
Okay, test is there. So right.
Yeah,
Here,
this is test. This is
yeah.
the actual
Okay,
test that we are writing.
okay. And one more question, Amudan. Actually, we have means a lot of functionalities are there in my application,
Mhm.
but my manager is looking to each and every how can I say, each and every click or each and every
Mhm.
entering
Action.
the data,
Mhm.
capture the screenshots and store it into one Word file.
Word file.
Yeah.
Okay. Screenshots is fine. Screenshots we can take it and put it into extent reports. For each step we can do that. But creating a Word file is not that much recommended, because HTML file we can generate easily. Okay.
Mm.
So let me also see whether we have any easy way to create a Word file. But see, managers can tell whatever they want, man.
Yeah, I
Don't
know.
listen to them. Okay, they will tell, okay, automate this in 1 day, automate this in 2 days, and all they will tell. Okay, they will give some vague requirements. Okay, don't let those guys control you. Okay, as a test automation engineers, you tell them, okay, this is what we can do, this is automation, this is how we decide. Okay, that's how we need to speak. Okay, let's see how we can do this, but we will take step by step screenshot and then we will give it as a HTML file. Okay, so that's more easy way to do it. We will do that.
Okay.
We will integrate this with the external report and all that.
Each and every act.
So before closing for this day, I'll just leave you some assignment to do. Let's say, let's take an example from my homepage, and let's see if you notice in the login page also we are doing driver dot find element, click, username, send keys. So we are doing the send keys, we are doing click. Okay, we are doing all these things everywhere. So even in the top menu component, we are doing some click. Okay, these are all click, right? So you can create a reusable method called as click, called as send keys, and then create a new class called as some new class, some utility class, and create those click and send keys method, and send me the screenshot how you are creating it. And most importantly, you try to create the page layers for this whole class. Okay, I want you guys to think about how you can optimize this top menu. In the top menu, if I have to create 12, I need to create 12 menu elements. Okay, is there any better way? How can I optimize this? You guys think about it. Okay, please practice it, guys. Please create the page methods, page layers by yourself, otherwise you will not understand. And we will connect tomorrow, and we will clarify if you have any doubts. Okay, good. So let me stop the recording.